Hey guys, Maurice here. So in today's video we're going to be looking at to grab information from the user, manipulating it, and also be going over some general programming guidelines which will just help your code look a whole lot better. So as you can see, I already set up Visual Studios. I named my program user input, got my CPP file right here, and the skeleton of this program. So what I was thinking we can do is we just ask the user for two numbers, we multiply those numbers, and we print it back out. So let's start with our variable. Now I'm thinking we could just do int, and an int is just an integer, and an integer just only accepts whole value. So that means 27, 36, it cannot be decimal point value. If you try to give it decimal point value, it'll automatically truncate. So if you do 27.6, at that decimal, when the computer sees it, it will just cut it off. It does not exist to it. Now if you find yourself working with decimals, there's also another data type called double, which gladly accepts decimal points without problem. And there's a whole bunch of different data types which I'll go into more detail in a later video. But for this, let's just go ahead and do int, and let's name our variable. So I'll name it number 1, int number 2, and then we need a variable to hold our answer, which I'll just name answer. Pretty self-explanatory. So now let's go ahead and ask the user for what we need. So we do cout, arrow, arrow, quotes, and let's do hi. Please enter the first number. Now to actually get user input, it's similar to cout, but it's actually just the opposite. So instead of having it called cout, it's cin. And I always just remembered, since we're grabbing variables and putting into something else, so we're taking information and putting it in a variable name of our choice. That's how I always remembered it when I first started programming. So cin, and right here we just put the name of the variable we want. So we want number 1 right here, semicolon, and then let's do cout and ask for our second number. So enter a second value. Oh, don't forget those semicolons. So now we do cin number 2, and let's go ahead and do our arithmetic right here. So let's do answer, because that's the variable, and then we'll do number 1 times number 2. So all this reads is whatever number is here and whatever number is here, just multiply them together and store it inside the variable named answer. So now let's go ahead and print that. So the value of the two numbers multiplied equals, and we actually put the name of our variable right here. So to print a variable, it has to be between its own little arrows. Don't put it in quotes. If you put it in quotes, it will print the name, so it'll just print answer, it won't print its value. So make sure you remember that, and let's go ahead and run it. So let's enter our first number. Let's just do 2, and then 5 to keep it simple. So the value of the two numbers multiplied equals 10, which is correct. Now something I want to go over today is naming your variables something meaningful. So I did number 1 and number 2 just because we're doing multiplications, you need multiple numbers, and then a variable named answer to hold the value. Now I know in math variable names are always like x, y, or sigma, just very bland in general, but that does not work in programming, and the reason for that is other people are always going to be looking at your code one way or another. It could be yourself 2 weeks from now trying to remember what you did, or like a teacher or a coworker, so on and so forth. So by giving your variable names something meaningful, it's almost as if your code is telling a story. The better the name, the easier the story flows, and it's a lot easier to understand. And it's extremely helpful when you're debugging or try to debug other people's code. So that's one thing I really wanted to stress on today. And thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.